Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to pick up on your point, Mr. Chairman, with respect to enforcement as we begin. Mr. Froman, you and I have talked, and I believe strongly that the country needs a vigorous, proactive approach to identifying and remedying unfair trade practices. That's what our businesses deserve. That's what our workers deserve. Now, as you know, our solar industry has exercised its rights to obtain an anti-dumping CVD order on Chinese solar products. China responded by evading the order and unfairly retaliating against our producers in this global solar supply chain. China acted similarly with respect to a trade case in Europe. Now, as you and I have talked about, our government can't resolve this on its own. We've got to have really a global settlement. We've got to have an opportunity for governments to discuss this, ours and China and Europe's. Now, my understanding is the administration is engaged now with those parties, with China, with Europe, to the goal of forging an agreement that would end the retaliatory Chinese cases and would level the playing field for America's producers. My understanding is that you support those efforts and that you are one of the leaders in those discussions. Can you just share your views on this?
Sure. Well, thank you, Senator, and thank you for your leadership on this important issue. And it is a critically important issue because it brings together both the importance of enforcing our trade laws effectively, the importance of seeing the further development of clean energy, and the importance of leveling the playing field so that our producers of clean energy products can participate in that growing market. It's one of the reasons that we've been so active over the last few years in bringing cases related to clean energy involvement. We brought a case in the WTO against India's localization policy in the solar area that's kept out our producers. We've brought the first Section 301 case in 15 years against China for wind subsidies and got China to agree to drop those wind subsidies. And we brought a WTO case against China.
Since my time is short, do you support a global settlement here, and are you participating in it?
Yes. On the solar issue in particular, this involves the whole supply chain, as you've said. It involves polysilicon makers, solar panel makers, and solar installers. And as you said, it involves not just the U.S., but the European market as well. There have been some initial discussions with both the European market and China about how to deal with this on a global basis. And that would be, I would look forward to working with you to determine how to do that in the best way possible.
If you're confirmed, I want you to own those negotiations because this is a hugely important issue. We've got to be able to be producers in the renewable energy field. Question 2 is on transparency. As you know, I feel strongly about this. We've talked about it. Particularly, we saw in the PIPA-SOPA debate with respect to the Internet how strongly the public feels about this. If confirmed, will you make sure that the public in these areas where there is a very significant public interest get a clear and updated description of what trade negotiators are seeking to obtain in the negotiations so that we can make this process more transparent in the future?
Yes, Senator. I think it's critically important that we have very good transparency and very good consultations between the administration, between Congress, between key stakeholders, and with the public at large. As you know, we brief this committee's staff on every proposal before we table it in any negotiation. We get their input and their feedback. We have a robust program of making available to any member of this committee, any member of the Senate, any member of the House, the text of negotiating proposals.
Let's plan to talk about it some more. I'd like that to be online so the American people can be a fuller partner in this debate. Let me ask you about one other question since my time is short. As you know, genetically engineered wheat was recently discovered in an unexpected location in Oregon. The agriculture authorities have said that the wheat is safe. As you know, an investigation is going on right now. But what I'm concerned about is some of our trading partners, unfortunately, have responded by suggesting, sort of in the meantime, that they're going to discriminate against American wheat imports. And they're going to do it despite a lack of evidence that there is a problem with this genetically engineered wheat in the stream of commerce. What I'd like you to tell us is, if confirmed, will you use all the tools that you have to stand up for America's agricultural exports so that they don't face discriminatory treatment in these foreign markets?
Yes, Senator.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Senator Baucus. And let me ask first a question about footwear and the global value chain. You all are pushing for a 21st century or next generation agreement, which certainly sounds constructive to me in a number of chapters. And I also want to see you all, as part of that, avoid some of these outdated provisions that would undermine the momentum needed to reinvigorate the global economy. And this requires that we particularly look at the global value chain, research considerations, all of the issues that go to the global value chain that defines the operations of so many brands. If confirmed, will you make sure that as part of that process, as part of the Trans-Pacific Partnership negotiations, you look at some of the key areas that relate to this concern, like the rules of origin and the tariffs for consumer goods?
Yes, Senator. We'll look at all those issues.
Good. The other question I had deals once again with the internet. You know, my view is that the internet is the shipping lane of the 21st century. It has enormous benefits to people on a day-to-day basis, but it's also reshaping the manner in which commerce is conducted. But there aren't any, as of today, distinct global trade rules that ensure that digital trade doesn't face protectionist kinds of policies, protectionist, discrimination. And there's a lot of concern, for example, about the big win that was won on the PIPA-SOPA issue, for example, sort of being unraveled as part of these discussions. What can you all do to make sure that the digital economy gets the attention it needs to ensure that the internet is free and open in global markets, particularly for American producers of digital goods and digital services?
Well, Senator, when we talk about the TPP being a 21st century agreement and trying to introduce new disciplines for new issues in the global economy, digital economy is clearly one of those areas, one of those new areas that we have been focusing on. And so then the TPP negotiations, while we're still in the midst of the negotiations, we're seeking the free flow of data. We're seeking disciplines around restrictions that countries might have in terms of where people put their data centers and how this affects cloud computing. So it's very much on the agenda. The e-commerce and the digital economy is very much on the TPP agenda.
One last question. On the TPP renewal question, are you all going to send to us a proposal that represents your views on what TPA is all about, or how do you envision that unfolding?
Well, Senator, obviously we'll need to consult with USTR and others if confirmed, but our intention is to engage with this committee and engage with the House Ways and Means Committee as you work through TPA issues.
So you would send the chairman, Chairman Baucus, and Senator Hatch, you'd in effect send us your statutory negotiating goals so that we can get a sense of what your priorities are.
I think we'll have to work through what form that engagement takes, but we're happy to engage with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.